Hello, and welcome to the Killer Whale live stream. I hope you all are having an excellent holiday season so far. Wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying the time with your family towards the end of this year and getting ready for going into 2026 strong and prosperous. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do our review here. So, not too much on the news front today. We're just going to keep it based on technical analysis, some of the trades that we've been entering this past couple of weeks. Gold, as the title says, has hit target number 1 of our trade setup. So if you've been following along for the last couple of weeks, you'll know that we entered a gold trade that has now achieved target number 1. So that's really exciting. Stick around. We're going to talk about all that stuff. On another note, our futures algorithms have been absolutely crushing it. So if we can catch one of those on trade or on the stream today, we absolutely will. I'm gonna try and keep it nice and short. I've got some feedback to keep these around 40 minutes to an hour. So if anybody has any comments or anything like that, we take that to heart. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So today, we're talking about Bitcoin being still within this bear flag, bear pole breakout that we're in right now. We can see that we did come to, let me go ahead and turn our long-term algorithm off so we can just look at it on a technical basis. So yeah, basically on a technical basis here, we have this bear pole, bear flag that's been playing out to the downside. We did find support on this on target number 1 here, out of this descending breakout that we've been having. So we found support around target number 1, which is actually really good because that puts in a higher low for the 3rd time. So if we can stick with this pattern that we have going on here, we have about 1, 2, 3 higher lows. We don't really want to see this thing break down below 80,000 because then that would give the bears control according to our long-term algorithms. So we really want to stay basically where we are right now. Now, just to be clear, I am not playing this as a short sell whatsoever. I do not have a trade open here. What I'm doing is I'm measuring the targets just to understand where we could find support on the way down. I'm not the type to short sell Bitcoin, but I like to do the analysis just to see where we could possibly find some support in the coming weeks and going into the beginning of next year. So let me go ahead and turn the algo back on. Oops, that's support and resistance. There we go. So yeah, with the algorithm on, you can see down here about 81,000, 80,000. That's where our bullish control would turn into bearish control. So let me go over to our next chart here. So yeah, this is Bitcoin just a little bit more cleaned up here. All we're really looking at on this chart is our long-term accumulation algorithm. So all of these little blue triangles that you see are areas where the algorithm is telling us to accumulate. The moving averages you're looking at, the yellow moving average is the 10 and the white moving average is the 20. What we use this for is, in some of our Cryptohopper bots, our scalping, our short-term, our volatility bots, what we'll do is we'll just sell back to cash when the market officially turns into a bearish stance. And so we've been sitting in cash on our volatility bots since about 109,000, something like that. So we've really just skipped this entire downward push on our volatility type bots. But what you can see here is we are still in bullish control overall. This bullish control, if I zoom back a bit, started at the beginning of 2023. So you can see January 2023, we turned bullish. We flipped into the bullish control zone after being in bearish control for a short time. And since 2023, we've been firmly in this bullish control. Now, what's been happening is we've been seeing several cycles where you can see the moving averages crossing to the upside, where we've had large upward swings, followed by downward consolidative moves, followed by large upward swings, and now we're in a downward consolidative move. The interesting thing about where we're at right now is we've touched the very bottom of our bullish control zone, which we haven't done in 2 years. So we are still in bullish control, but we really need to stay above that $80,000 level, or we might start singing a different tune as to we are in bearish control, we need to be cautious, just things like that, right? But at the moment, bullish until proven otherwise. So, you know, downward sloping on the moving averages, but we are still in bullish control at the moment. If we go ahead and look at our seasonals here, we can see that year to date, Bitcoin has seen a 5% decrease in its value, right? So it's actually down on the year. Whereas previous years, if we're looking at this, you know, 2020 had a 300% year, and then followed by, you know, 100 to 50% gains, except for 2022 where we saw a 65% loss. So year over year, Bitcoin's been increasing by more than 100% on average. And this year, we just haven't seen that. While we have hit new all-time highs, we are, 5% lower than where we were exactly this time last year. So that is something to note. Let's go ahead and look at the technicals here. So we are we're having buying signals on the oscillators, where we're having on the sentiment summary and the moving averages, we're having more sell signals. So a bit of a mixed bag on the daily. On the week, it's neutral, and then we're seeing sells from the moving averages and the sentiment summary. So, you know, I'd say bearish outlook week on the week. And then on the month, we actually have gone back into that buying territory. So this is a good sign that we might actually be finding support and not be fully breaking through that $80,000 level. Again, we were talking about Cathie Wood and her analysis last week and the week before last, that she actually thinks this bottom is our bottom for the time being. She just doesn't think that composite operators and like the large players in the market want to see much lower of a price than we're currently sitting at, nor does she think that an individual or a group of individuals can drive the price down much further than where we are at now. And if we look at it from top to bottom, we have made about a 30, all the way top to bottom, about a 36% consolidative move, which is pretty standard, right? I would say 36% is a good solid consolidation here. And, you know, we're just going to have to see if we can keep that $80,000 level to stay fully in bullish control and maybe make moves higher. We do have analysts calling for around a $200,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026. So very optimistic about where we are if we can just stay above that $80,000 level. Okay, moving on to Ethereum. If you've been watching this stream at all, we entered this play like one of the very first days that I started streaming like 2 weeks ago. And thank you, everybody. We've gained over 30 subscribers in just a little under 2 weeks of streaming. So thank you very much. And we're going to keep doing it. And any comments and questions that you have, just go ahead and drop them in our YouTube comments, and I'll be sure to, you know, either do the reviews on stream or make changes to the stream if people see that they would like to, you know, cover different topics and things like that. But moving on to Ethereum, we've been in this descending channel. We broke out. We entered this play right around that $2,900 level. We pretty much immediately saw that first target. So our first target was that 3350 level. So we took 50% of our trade off of the table at target number 1 here. And because our risk to reward is 2 to 1 on our first target, no matter what, even if we come back down to the stop loss, we're going to have made money on this play. And now we have some plays that are they're playing out and doing really well. So I can give you guys examples of why we do that, taking 50% off the table here. And then once we get to target 2, we're going to move our stop loss up to break even. There's a really good example of that on XRP, why that's important, that we had a couple of months ago. But yeah, Ethereum at the moment, waiting for target number 2 and 3. Might need to give it a little bit more time, you know, on like the trade planning here. I was giving it until the end of January, but maybe actually, or I'm sorry, that was the beginning of January. So let's go ahead and take it out to like the end of January, like the 20th here. And yeah, I'm thinking if we do see a nice move here, you know, probably around the end of January would be the time that we might see target number 2 or even target number 3 if Bitcoin decides to stay bullish. It all depends on what Bitcoin wants to do. The greater crypto space follows Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the market oscillator. So we just need to see a solid push from Bitcoin in the beginning of 2026. And I think we're going to see a lot of these moves that we have entered here start to play out pretty well. So this is Binance Coin. And we put this one on the list of assets that we're going to look at because it is in our conservative AI model, and it's just performed really, really well. Year to date is up 22%, whereas we saw Bitcoin is down about 5%, and respectively Ethereum is down about 10% year to date. So Binance Coin has actually hit a new all-time high just recently in October. Had an absolutely amazing run up to the top and made this kind of double top kind of tweezer top kind of pattern here. And then we've seen a descending triangle, and then we've sized up a low risk entry. So as you may have seen on previous streams, we identified this as playing out a breakout and then retest of our descending trend line on our descending triangle. So that was great, but kind of got in a little bit late on this play. So what we did is I entered right where this circle is because we had not gone up to target number 1 yet, and we had identified a successful jump across the creek breakout. So this one got in a little bit late. I would have preferred to get in more like here, but you can see we're hanging out right around our entry point at the moment. So targets on this guy are up at 987 and then 1150 and 1304. So again, 987, 1150 and 1304. And basically what we're looking at here is if we can get up to target number 1, our risk to reward is 1.38 to 1. So we'll be taking 50% of our trade off the table. And what that'll do is no matter what, if we come back down to stop loss, we'll break even on this play. This is a low risk area that we've sized up to take a long because we have had such a, well-shaped, well-formed consolidated move here. Now, the next target, if we go to target number 2, that would put us back into bullish control. So, yeah, we're hoping to, have target 1 and 2 play out. That'll bring us back into bullish control. But again, it all really just depends on what Bitcoin wants to do. So if Bitcoin continues to move higher, we'll see some of these moves start to play out. Let's go ahead and look at XRP now. And that example I was talking about on XRP of moving our stop loss to break even. So let me just go ahead and turn our long-term algorithm off here. Okay, so what I mean by that is if we look at this descending triangle move here, we had our breakout and then we hit target number 1. So we always take 50% of our trade off of the table at target number 1. And then target number 2, we're going to move our stop loss to break even. So you can see as we came up to target number 2 and we were able to move our stop loss to break even, what that did is that prevented further loss when we had that capitulation move on October 10th right over here. So we hit 2 targets, which was amazing because we hit our target right around our new all-time high on XRP. And then we've just been consolidating ever since. And this stopped us from taking on any more loss because we had that big move to the downside, but we had already moved our stop loss to break even there. What we're looking at now, the move that's playing out, is we have this larger descending broadening structure, but we also have this descending channel that we're looking at here. And I also added just recently another zone of confluence. So you can see this purple box on the top here is kind of our zone of resistance confluence where we have had the most interactions of resistance. And then you can see since this, that big breakout October, November, December of 2024, where we saw XRP go from 50 cents all the way up to almost $3. Now we've formed a zone of confluence on the bottom side for support levels. So you can see we have been using this as support for the most part until like the last couple of days here where we've been just following along this heart line and it's kind of acted as resistance a little bit. But yeah, you can see for the last year or so, this has been the area where it's interacted as support the most times. So just waiting to see if if and when we're going to have this move float outside of this descending channel. Just education, descending patterns are typically bullish and ascending patterns are typically bearish. Well, we have 2 separate descending patterns that we're kind of analyzing at the moment, and just speculating that we might have a breakout somewhere around like the level that we're at now, maybe slightly lower, but not making any plays on XRP as far as a technical standpoint goes, except for using our long-term algorithm. And I didn't mention yet, but if you would like access to any of these algorithms while we're getting this stream off the ground, we are giving away these algorithms completely for free. All you have to do is send your TradingView username to our Discord support. All of the links for those strategies that you see in our description below are all available completely for free. It's how we like to manage our risk, and there's a lot more coming. I'm going to be releasing several new strategies in the next couple of weeks here. So if anybody's interested in these long-term algorithms, or you can utilize them for short-term as well, yeah, you can go ahead and get access. We have a whole bunch of people asking questions right now in our Discord, and we also have a community document with all of the different types of ways that you can configure these things. There's an infinite ways to, size up how to use these things for risk management. And as you can see here, this algorithm has had 100% success in its life. It has never made a losing trade. It's made 234 winning trades and 0 losing trades. Because this is a long-term algorithm and it just doesn't sell that often, but also because of the way that we choose to participate and manage our risk, right? So you don't have to use them for just this either. You can use them for day trading, short-term, dollar cost averaging, position building, you name it. Let's go ahead and move on to Solana. Again, look at our Solana algorithm here. It's been 85% successful in its lifetime and has produced a result of over 1,900%. So very, very cool. And if you'd like access to this, we're giving it away completely for free. So just let us know. Okay, Solana not doing so good on the year, down 33% year to date. It has had a few different very volatile and directional moves this year. You can see at the beginning of this year, we had a straight downward descending channel, and this thing was very heavily downsloping. When we entered this trade, we were, the risk here was, I did not like the risk to reward because, excuse me, we had a 0.68%, 0.68 to 1 risk to reward on our target number 1. So that was actually below, that 1-to-1 that I typically like. But what was cool about this play is because we did give it a wide berth on the stop loss, we were able to ride this move until it hit its target on the exact day that we put during trade planning, right? So very, very cool play, followed by, this upward swing, and then now we're in another descending channel. One thing I'd like to point out is we have been riding this zone of confluence. So you can see this purple box on the bottom side here is where we've had the most interactions with the price action on the support side. So you can see it was support and resistance here, support again, support, September 2024. It was support March 2025. Acted as support in June, and now here we are again at the end of the year, November and December. It's acting as support once more. So we are looking to size up this play at the moment. This one has a 1-to-1 risk to reward on target number 1, 2.69 to 1 on target number 2, and 4.64 to 1 on target number 3. So at some point, I'm expecting this to break out of this descending channel, and we can size up where our entry is going to be. But for now, we are not going to do anything until we see a jump the creek breakout, which would mean we have to solidly break through with a daily candle close above this descending trend line right here. Okay, so Solana looks like some things are brewing for Solana there. Tron, same sort of story here. Looks like some things are brewing. Again, this Tron algorithm completely for free. While we're getting this channel off the ground, we're giving all of these away. And if you want to be grandfathered in, you got to drop your TradingView username into our support chat, and I'll make sure that you get access to all of the algorithms in the description of this video. So you can see our long-term TRX algorithm has had 100% successful trades. It's had 431 successful trades in its lifetime, and this thing is an absolute beast. Tron has been very, very good for accumulation long term because this algorithm, the way that it is set at the moment, has never been in bearish territory. It has only ever been in bullish territory since when this thing started back in 2018. So yeah, June 2018 until now has been bullish, right? So it didn't, TRX didn't have the same sort of bear market that the rest of the market did, right? This thing's been awesome to accumulate and trade, but our last major selling event was at the end of December 2024. So since then, just been accumulating, and as you can see, it's had several selling events through the course of 2023 and 2024, but just has been quietly accumulating this entire time. So if we go ahead and turn off our long-term algorithm and look at this on a purely technical standpoint at the moment, we do have what looks like a double bottom here on the daily, which is very good. And then we broke across the heart line. So next moves we're looking to make is back up to this descending trend line. And if we can have a bit of a breakout from that descending trend line, we are going to be sizing up a 3-target play. But we really just need to see this float back up to this descending trend line and have a solid break with a daily candle close before we're going to make any solid decisions on TRX as an asset that we want to do a technical analysis play on. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to, in the description of today's video, the big winner today is gold, because gold did achieve target number 1, which we had been talking about since we started the stream. And it was one of the first plays that I announced here on the stream, and could have absolutely taken advantage of it if you wanted to. But yeah, we broke out of this descending, well, really a symmetrical triangle, kind of bull flag symmetrical triangle pattern here, and decided to play it off of this trend line versus this one right here. We had some users in our Discord channel saying that they were playing this move off of this trend line, but I took it off of this trend line break right here, and we did achieve target number 1 today. So we've taken 50% of this technical analysis play off the table, and because our risk to reward is 2.35 to 1, even if we come back down to our current stop loss, we will make money on this trade. But I'm fully expecting this thing just to keep running, right? Make new all-time highs, and then we have targets up to 47.35, 49.37, and 5400. So yeah, I've given this thing currently out until about the end of April. So we could see, let's see how far we get through this pattern by the end of April. We might just continue to have a strong push to the upside, which wouldn't surprise me at all if we're looking back on gold's history the last couple of years. It's just been one upward push after another. So like you can see, like this is kind of a bull flag setup right here that broke out to the upside. You have like a descending pattern right here that broke out to the upside. You can see right here there was kind of a triangle shaped pattern with a flagpole that broke out to the upside. So there's no reason why we can't just have another flag type of pattern and a breakout to the upside, right? Bullish until proven otherwise. And then let's just go ahead and turn on the algo again. I can tell you a little bit about what that's been eluding for us. So basically this algo has been doing really well, and just recently I turned it on to where it can sell 10% each time it receives the proper mathematics for a selling activity. So if we can get it to load here. Yep, there we go. So our gold algorithm, again, 100% successful. 947 successful trades with no losses out of this algorithm. And if you want access to this, just go ahead and drop your TradingView username into our Discord support, and we'll make sure we get you hooked up with that. Also, if you'd like to give this video a like and our channel a subscribe, we're going to be talking about this stuff every day. So very, very cool. Very, very fun. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on from gold. Target number 1, great. Once we get to target number 2, we will move our stop loss up to break even. And yeah, targets all the way up to 5,400. Blue skies ahead. Gold's looking great. let's go ahead and go over to, I mean, I could talk about our futures algorithms for a minute. This one has been doing absolutely fantastic, has passed a number of prop firm tests, including another 25K account just yesterday. So yeah, just very, very cool, calm and collected, just making like one trade per day. We're going for the lower account types, 25K, 50K account sizes, and just slow and steady accumulation, right? That's been working really, really well. Yesterday it took a trade right out of the gate, but today is being a little more patient, it looks like. And you can see on one of our other ones here, you know, took 2 trades yesterday. And then our third version actually had a pretty significant losing day. It had a $555 loss on the day, but you can see it also traded 1, 2, 3, 4 times unsuccessfully. So it didn't hurt the you know, the integrity of the algorithm. We haven't gone into drawdown too major or anything like that, but yeah, it's doing its job. We're just fine tuning them. Let's come back to that since we haven't, you know, it's not making any trades right out of the gate here. Well, let's just go ahead and go to Google, and we're going to do the Mag 7 here. So Google, this is the 10-minute chart. This is with our, you know, short-term swing algorithm. So you can see right here, this little cluster of blue triangles is where we had our last entries with the bottom of the channel, and then it rode it all the way to the top of the channel, and we've kind of just been sitting idle since we have been out of a play, you know, a technical analysis algo style of we've been out of this algo style of play since the end of November. So you can see, according to the algorithm, we've kind of floated down into bearish control, but you know, as of the last like couple of days here, we have bounced off of the bottom trend line again. So I was sizing up, if I go out to the daily chart here, I was sizing up a move like this to the downside. I do think at some point Google needs to have some downside action, but I've just kind of been moving these targets up as we continue to, you know, get higher in this trend until we see, you know, a break to the downside of this ascending pattern. So, you know, we might be looking at something more along the lines of breaking out to the downside somewhere around here. You know, I'm not saying all of these targets are going to play out or anything. I'm certainly not going to really be shorting Google, just because I might be doing some selling activity in like my long portfolio or something like that if I do notice that there's a solid break to the downside here. But at the moment, we're just kind of sizing it up to say, you know, here's what could happen out of a descending channel, right? We could be having targets down to the, you know, 265 level, and then 240, and then all the way down to 200 if we do get a solid, like, you know, downside move or some sort of bearish activity in the market. But let's go ahead and move on. We're going to look at Tesla. Tesla is almost to target 1 today. Tesla's in a bit of a weird play at the moment because we are playing it from this previous move at the, you know, beginning of August, where we entered into a play of a descending trend line break. And then that play it went pretty much straight to target number 1 with no resistance, and then went up to target number 2 with no resistance. So we took 50% of our trade off here and then moved our stop loss to break even. And what we've been waiting for is target number 3 on this play being up at this, you know, 520 area. But as we were making our way to that third target, we also formed a descending broadening formation here. And let me go ahead and turn these moving averages off real quick. So yeah, then we formed this descending broadening formation and we broke out. So we entered this play on the day of the, you know, after this solid candle close. All right, so after this daily candle close above our trend line, we entered this play, and we've just been waiting to come up to target number 1. Target number 1, we have a 2.62 risk to reward. So even if we get to target number 1 and take 50% of our trade off the table and come back down to stop loss, we will make money on this play, right? Once we achieve target number 2 on this descending pattern, we will also have hit target number 3 from this previous breakout that I was just explaining, right? So a couple of different, two technical analysis trades at the same time on Tesla is what's occurring at the moment. And target number 3 swinging for the fences all the way up at 598. So yeah, if we achieve target number 2 and 3, we'll be setting new all-time highs. We'll be achieving multiple trades at the same time's targets, and then we'll have a nice target up at like 598, where we'll have roughly 20 to 30% of our trades still on the table. So Tesla is looking absolutely fantastic. Meta, we've been sizing up this cup and handle within a descending broadening formation. You're going to hear me say descending broadening formation a lot on this channel, right? So descending broadening formation, we have a cup and handle, with a rounding bottom formation, and then a higher low with the handle. And what we've been waiting for is a solid break above this, neckline here, which would give us reason to, enter a potential technical analysis play off of this cup and handle, which would give us the conviction that we need when we break out of this descending trend line at some point for our descending broadening structure. That'll give us other targets up around this like 800 new all-time high region. So we're just waiting for either this cup and handle to become validated and to take a shot at it, or to become invalidated and just see where we might go from here. Okay. And then let's go ahead and move on to Amazon. Amazon, I entered this play today. So at the beginning of the trading day, because we had, if I zoom in here, it makes me laugh because my criteria is we must have a daily candle close above our descending trend line. Well, if I zoom way in, you can see it didn't really close above it. It closed like exactly on the trend line. Like you could not get more perfectly closing exactly on where I drew my trend line. So my criteria today was if we opened above it, which we did, that's where I was going to enter this play. So I've entered this play. I am looking for a retest, so I will enter this play again if we come back down for a retest. But at the moment, I've entered one time, and I'm just waiting to see if we're going to go straight for the push upwards, or if we might come back for a retest of this trend line. And again, I will probably be doubling up or maybe even tripling up my position if we come back down to this descending trend line and give it a test. That'll also average my position down a little bit because, as you can see here, I entered slightly above where the entry is drawn. So I'm looking to bring that entry down if we do have a little bit of a consolidative move before the bounce to the upside. So yeah, I'm looking for taking 50% of that trade, whatever it is. If we come back down and I can double or triple my position, that'll be great. If not, I'm still going to take 50% of my trade, whatever it is, when we get to target number 1. So risk to reward on target number 1 is 2.79 to 1. Target number 2 is 4.5 to 1. Target number 3 is 6.8 to 1. And target number 4 is 9.5 to 1. So I'm expecting a huge move out of Amazon at some point here. And the reason that I'm liking this area is because I've sized up a low risk play where the stop loss would be just below this most recent swing low. So yeah, we got a low risk, high reward play. We'll be taking 50% off the table at target number 1, moving our stop loss to break even at target number 2, and then, taking the remainder 25 and 25%, something like that, off at target number 2 and 3. So I think I'm going to play this one 50% off at target number 1, 25%. So something along the lines of like maybe another 20% here, 20% here, and 10% here. Or, maybe we'll figure it out as we get a little further along. But definitely first one, 50%. And then these 3 targets we'll have to decide as we start coming up upon those. And then you can see earlier in this year, it looks almost identical. We have a descending formation and then a 4 target breakout, right? And this one went pretty much straight to our 4 targets. So yeah, I'm sizing this one up, and it went very, very close to when we had our trade planning going on. So, very similar to what we're looking at here. And you can see this one played out absolutely perfectly. And yeah, that's what we're sizing up on Amazon at the moment. If you want us to look at, if you want me to pull up an asset and we could look at it together, just holler in the comments and I will make sure to address that live on stream here. Let's go ahead and move on to Apple now. Apple, absolutely textbook. And today I did, in fact, enter some short contracts in my Charles Schwab account. I was going to just sell some of my long-term Apple, but I decided I wanted to do more of like a hedge play because I don't do those very often. So I decided, oh, okay, so let's go ahead. Before we get into Apple, which is absolutely perfect, stay tuned. We'll come back to this. We did have our NQ3 playing out right now. So yeah, we have a 4 contract entry on our NQ algorithm. So this is a futures play we're taking on Tradify at the moment. And yeah, let's go ahead and just play this out live on stream. They have been coming a little bit earlier than usual for the last few days. I'm not sure why that is, but the TA just lines up. As you can see right here, we have a MA filter on, so it has to be above this green line and also this white line here. So yeah, if it's above the green line and above the white line, it will be able to enter long positions. So the gist of this algorithm also is it martingales, and you can see we're entering 4 contracts, which is a pretty heavy contract size, especially with NQ, because these things can swing thousands of dollars at a time. That's why I'm using the prop firm, is because even if, you know, it doesn't play out entirely in our favor, we're not really risking our own capital, right? So again, this is still in development. At least this version is. This version has it's version number 3 of the same algorithm. So let me back it up here. We'll go talk about version number 1 here. So version number 1 can trade multiple times in a day, and it basically will martingale if it loses. So it can trade up to 3 times in a day, I believe. Let's see. Oh no, I must have edited this one because now it looks like, let's just go ahead and take a look here. So I do love this algorithm that I'm using. It's Algo Pro Evo X. Algo Pro is a really good algorithm provider, and they're pretty cheap. I think it's only like $100 for a lifetime subscription or something like that. So you can absolutely check this out. The reason I like it is because it has a lot of different technical analysis. What do they call it in here? Confluence signals. So you can have like fear and greed index, volume exhaustion, liquidity grab, price exhaustion. But I'm using stochastic and fear and greed index, as well as, yep, just the stochastic and fear and greed index is the entry methodology here. But it has all kinds of cool stuff, like you can filter by volume, you can filter by trend, you can close on volume weighted average price cross, all that kind of stuff. But this one, the gist of this one at the moment is, let's see, we got our risk manager here. Yeah, so it will halt after 2 wins in a row or 3 losses in a row. So it'll keep trading until one of those 2 things happens. If it has 3 losses in a row, it'll stop, or if it has 2 wins in a row, it'll stop. So yeah, this one is in development. You can see here it had 2 wins in a row, so it stopped trading for that day. Here it traded once, and sometimes the TA just lets it, you know, trade once. And I also have a risk manager that if it makes over 500 in a day, it'll just stop trading. So yeah, that one's working out really good. This one's been passing tests. This one's a little more geared for lower account sizes. So like you can see here, I have a 25K account that just passed on this one. It's got $1,500 of drawdown in the last, you know, 185 trades. So this one's been really, really consistent and passed several tests. And then the one that we're looking at right now that's taking a trade is a little more rough and rugged. It has a $4,000 drawdown. So this one's on a 150K account at the moment. And it can take a number of trades in a day. And you can see like yesterday, it didn't have a very good day. It just had, you know, a $500 loss on the last session. So we're hoping to come back here strong, and we got 4 minutes and 30 seconds until this candle closes. And basically this strategy, it'll exit upon a couple of different parameters, but really what we want to see is if we can get a push back above where the entry was here, it'll take profit wherever it is upon the candle closing. But if not, it's going to close the trade, and then it should martingale again. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So yeah, this one, $4,000 max equity drawdown. So you really need to be trading it on like any account size that has more than $4,000 of drawdown, right? And again, I'm happy to show you guys all these different configurations and stuff like that. We can put them in the community document. Just go ahead and drop your TradingView username into our Discord support. I'll get you access to all of our stuff, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about any of the tools that are in our toolbox. Another thing before we move on, I would like to discuss is this is going to be a community-driven stream. So if there's anything that you want us to review live on stream here, I can go ahead and review assets, review indicators, review strategies. I've been doing this a long time, and we're going to build the world's largest and most successful algorithmic trading community. That is my mission in life, and we will not stop until we have achieved it. So if you want to come along for that ride, by all means, hop on, and we will take the ride together, right? But let's go ahead and see if we can get a successful futures trade out of the day here. We're just kind of hanging out, 4 contracts. I do like this strategy too because it gives it a little bit of time, right? We're looking at 9-minute candles, so it's an off time frame, so there's not going to be a whole lot of traders trading on 9-minute candles. That gives it a little bit of uniqueness as well. And it martingales, right? So you just got to be prepared for it's going to double up on contracts. It can't do that indefinitely. I've had lots of problems with martingale strategies that just continue to martingale. So I've set this one to have a max contract size of 8. So yeah, it can martingale one more time from here and do 8 contracts. And that's where we would really want to see, a nice push to the upside, because as you can see, if we look at the strategy tester here, there's these little dips, right? There's a little dip and then a large, it looks like a check mark, right? Well, that's happening because of the martingaling. It's losing several times and then martingales up to like 4 or 8 contracts, and then it'll smack a nice move. And you can see like some days here, like on Monday a couple of weeks ago, had a $7,000 day if you had been playing it exactly as it is now. And again, I've been messing with the configuration a little bit, but overall leaving it pretty close to where, pretty close to what it looks like now, because I don't want to like askew the results coming from this algorithm, right? So this one, yeah, I got that on a 150K account. It's just chilling at the moment. Kind of was playing around with this 150K account, so it got into drawdown. So I started this guy because I'm pretty confident that this can pull it out of drawdown here, but we'll see. Okay. Got 36 seconds left on this candle. So this one also has a trailing take profit, which is really interesting because the trailing take profit will keep coming down towards the open of the position, and it'll stop at open. So here, what'll happen is it'll be trailing towards open each time that there's a candle close. So in another 10 minutes, if it's not back above even, it'll trail again until it gets to even. And then this one, it'll either send a signal for an exit, or it'll try and take profit around break even. So I do like the methodology of this strategy. Just gotta, keep testing it and see if we can get it to pass some prop firm tests, right? Because it might look really pretty, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't pass the tests, it's gonna have to go back to the drawing board, right? So yesterday we had an unsuccessful day. if we have an unsuccessful day today, you know, it'll just give us a little more credence to maybe edit a few different parameters and then keep trying. But overall, the strategy that's been doing the best most consistently is this middle one here. So this one is martingale with no MA filter, and it can only, if it has a successful trade, it'll just stop trading for the day. So like yesterday, it had a successful trade, but it was only like $20 or $30. So it only made like, yeah, $23 yesterday, and then it stopped trading for the whole day. Whereas the day before that had a $500 day, and the day before that had a $270 day, and the day before that was a $250 day. So this one's had 8 successful days in a row, the last 8 days. So yeah, this one's been doing really good and passing tests. Got a couple different configurations like the one we're looking at right now that are still in development, but I am quite confident about because, you know, overall they do produce a really nice result on the back test that's absolutely manageable. We have our risk settings in place to, you know, basically if it goes below $1,000, it'll stop trading for the day. There's a whole bunch of risk metrics that I really like with this particular algorithm. So as long as it can pass some tests, we'll keep it around and keep developing it. All right, so a new candle started. This new candle's been running for about 2 minutes, and we're just gonna have to see if this trade wants to turn around. If this candle closes in 7 minutes, it will probably bring our take profit back to around this break even if it's not already getting close to that, because this one does have a trailing take profit, so it's constantly trailing closer and closer to the entry point. And I found some pretty nice success with the trailing take profit. I don't have a trailing stop loss or anything. I just haven't found use for that trading like NQ contracts like this just yet, but we're just gonna keep an eye on it here. While this candle's playing out, let me go over to our newest workings on our new MA bands strategy on gold here. So just today I started playing around with this thing on Renko, and Renko doesn't produce a totally accurate result in the strategy tester, but with the type of methodology I'm using, it's reasonable enough, because what I've done here is, if I just zoom in on this a little bit, you can see here we had an entry because the price action moved outside of this top band. So here we had an entry, and this green line that's following it right here is a trailing stop loss. So I just added this trailing stop loss feature today, and you can see it works really well if we go into like an extended upward move, right? So this one actually had, you'll have to excuse me, I've been sick like everybody else around here. So yeah, actually we have a trade that we just entered, you know, a few minutes ago, it looks like. And yeah, this thing is under development, but I do have really high hopes for it. So yeah, this will be available. I'm gonna put this in our list of indicators that you can have access to, because I've been editing this thing a lot, where we have a whole bunch of new moving average types that weren't in there before. And then we also have like different metrics for like band offset, and then we can use like a risk to reward ratio if we want to do that for our like take profit methodology. You can see here, if I turn it on, it gives us you know, our take profits, and also uses that and the trailing stop loss. But I also gave it this session filter and this martingale manager. So if we want it to martingale, it is currently on martingale mode, but yeah, so you can have martingaling. You can use ATR-based stop loss, moving your stop loss to break even, profit and loss caps. So this one, you know, I have a minus 2,000 as the largest loss that it can have, and if it hits 3,000 in a day, it'll just stop, right? And you can enable daily profit and loss caps, and yeah, so all kinds of cool stuff that I'm working on in the background here for you. But let's go ahead and go back over to our current trade here. Looks like we might be pushing back up. Let's take a look. yeah, so does anybody have any assets or indicators that they've been looking at that they might want us to size up with one of our algos or just on a technical standpoint? If anybody has anything like that, just go ahead and drop it in our YouTube chat. I see Danny says Dylan kicks butt. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I just do this all day, every day, and want to share my knowledge with my fellow man and help everybody be successful in the automated risk management space. What do we say around here? We're not traders, we're risk managers, right? I'm not the adrenaline junkie type of trader where I like to be the one pushing the buttons. I like to have the buttons programmed so that things happen automatically. You know, when you have your strategy programmed and you don't have to be the one pushing the button, it takes a load off to where you're just doing the analysis that goes into the decision making and you're letting the robots make the decisions in an instant, whereas you could not keep up being a human being, right? I just think it's a lot easier than sitting and watching and waiting for the technical analysis and then hitting the button, right? Then you're having to make decisions on the fly, and it's just not my style, right? Like, I'm an algorithmic trader. I like to do things mathematically and program it all out. So yeah, just you know, everybody has their thing, right? And that's just my thing personally. All right, so looks like we're getting an egg. Yep. So we did take about $1,000 loss on this trade, so it is going to try again at some point, and it's going to try again with 8 contracts. So, you know, we better have a nice move. And we're seeing right here, we're having this curl to the downside, and that happens every single time before a large martingale win. So yeah, we really want to see this next one be a win, and we could probably see one of these like check mark looking moves here. So again, this one's still very much in development and using another provider, but I have finally gotten this provider's algorithms to fire signals when it says it's going to fire signals, because at first I was having problems getting it to fire at the proper time, but I think I've gotten it to fire where I want it to. We just have to, you know, make sure that it fits within the risk parameters that we're going for. Okay, very cool. Well, we will keep an eye on that. I don't think we'll have another trade live on stream here, but that's how it goes sometimes, just managing the risk. We took a $1,000 loss on a 4-contract trade, and that's that for the time being. But let's go ahead and go back over to Apple. So Apple, just to finish up the Mag 7 here, had an absolutely perfect breakout to the downside and a picture-perfect retest where it came up and touched the ascending trend line exactly. So now we have, this gave me the conviction I needed earlier to enter this trade, and I basically decided to hedge with some short contracts on Charles Schwab against my long position. So I actually bought short contracts on Charles Schwab, sell contracts, right? So this I am playing with the intention of hitting maybe target 1 and target 2. I just don't expect target number 3 all the way down at 225 to come to fruition. Although you can see when we do go into a downward stretch, you know, on Apple, sometimes it can be extended. I mean, the rest of the market was very bearish at the beginning of the year as well. But yeah, so then we had this nice breakout move, 3 targets achieved on this breakout. And then right now we're just seeing that, you know, downside breakout and retest. So I'll be taking half my trade off the table if it gets to target number 1. The risk to reward is 1.9 to 1. So if we hit target number 1 and go back up to stop loss, we'll have made money on this play no matter what. It was just an easy area for me to size up a low risk play, right? So even if we just go back to stop loss, it's nothing too crazy, right? It's a low risk entry for where our profit targets are. So Apple looking awesome for this short move. Microsoft started breaking out last week, which we've been talking about. I have entered this play and basically just waiting for target number 1. Our risk to reward on this one is 2.73 to 1. So this trade absolutely can, we've been seeing a long consolidated move, so it wouldn't surprise me at all for Microsoft to start making these, making a sprint back towards target number 1, 2, and 3 here. And target number 3 would put us back up around all-time high at that 560 level. So yeah, I'm thinking this one will take probably out until, well, it doesn't really even have a date, but I'm thinking this will go till like March, end of March, something like that. So yep, just keeping an eye on Microsoft there. Nvidia entered this trade today, so my criteria is it has to have a daily candle close above the descending channel trend line. We got that, entered the trade today, so I would like to see it come back and bounce off of the descending trend line to give us a retest. If that happens, I'm going to be either doubling or tripling my position size. So we've sized it up to, I might be changing my stop losses on this one a little bit, just because, I don't want to necessarily go all the way down here, although that would still give us, a nice risk to reward. But we got this, level of support, this yellow line right here. So I've put it just below that for the time being, but if we do come back down and test this trend line, I might scooch these stop losses just down to this level here so that we're below our most recent swing low. And that'll still give us a risk to reward of 1.8 to 1. So, yeah, I might be sizing it up something like that. But just for the time being, I got my stops currently placed at 173.36. So, yeah, I'm looking for a nice move on Nvidia here. Again, might move my stops down a little bit, but started to enter this play, and I'm looking for a bounce off of this descending trend line as a retest, and we'll add more to our position there. That's it for the main crypto assets and the Mag 7. Didn't really turn on the algos and look at those too much, but we could basically just turn this guy on here. Let's see, is that? Nope. This one here. Yeah, this Microsoft algorithm is an absolute beast. Loading. Oh, that's not the one either. So yeah, if you want access to any of these, yeah, so like right here what we're looking at is if I turn off the quantity and signal labels, there we go. So you can see we've just been accumulating through this descending channel on Microsoft, right? So now we've started to break out, and we have entered this as a technical analysis style of play, but also the algorithm has just been accumulating and lowering the cost basis on this move. And our average price at the moment is 493. So yeah, we're 493 is a little bit above. So you can see the algorithm, it's been averaging its cost basis, but since we're playing this on a technical analysis standpoint, we have a much better entry on our technical analysis play than the algorithm does at the moment. So our entry is at 478, 478.50 about, and then the algorithm's average entry is 493. So yeah, just interesting things to look at there. That's about it for the day. Yeah, let me just go ahead and do the spiel here. So we're looking to build the world's largest and most successful algorithmic trading community. If you would like access to any of the algorithms that I was talking about on stream here, you can get access to those completely for free by dropping your TradingView username into our Discord support channel, and then we will get you access to all of those long-term algorithms and our suite of algorithms. I'm also releasing some new algorithms in the next week or so, and I would love for you to have access to those as well. So all you got to do is just give this channel a like, a subscribe, and drop your TradingView username into our Discord support, and I'll get you access to all of our invite-only scripts. And thank you so much. Until next time, bye-bye.